Are you prepared for this? Because you're going to go into the meat room and you're going to make the food up.
Okay.
Is that all right?
Yeah,
okay. And then we're going to come back over here and you're going to be getting the tigers in. So you'll get Amber into this lodge here and you're going to get Rana into his house over there. And then we go in the outside enclosure, so we go through here.
Okay.
And we safely lock through, we've done that. And then you're going to be hiding the food all over the enclosure.
Okay,
and then we come out and you can let them out to let them feed. So that's how today will work. That's okay.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine.
If you want to say hello, he speaks to you through here. Yeah, he knows you're there. He's looking right at the door. Oh yeah, he's coming over to you. There you go, he's coming to you.
Hello.
But you have to, tiger language please. Did you hear, just shuffled back again, did you hear that?
Yeah, that's so cool.
So basically, we've got Amber and Rana here. Do you know anything about our tigers? To begin with? No, so I can do it. And then do you know much about tigers in the wild?
No.
Great, so I have to warn you. That's brilliant. So that's always good for me. So Amber and Rana came to us in 2001. They were both from Shepreth Wildlife Park, which is in Broxbourne. I don't know if you, where have you come from today?
Milton Keynes.
Oh, okay, so it's kind of the other side. So Paradise had Rana that they'd parent reared, so they'd bred him there.
Yeah.
But Amber they'd taken in from a centre in Southern Ireland, so she was being hand raised. She was probably going to end up in some circus or private collection or something. So Amber took her, Paradise took Amber in. And they put Amber with a couple of other males that they had because they're all cubs, and then they had Rana being reared by his parents. Reaching sexual maturity, which is 2 to 3 years old, Rana couldn't have stayed with mum and dad, and Amber couldn't have stayed with these 3 males that she was with. So they approached us to see if we could build a purpose-built enclosure for these 2 animals. This was a cow field in its day, but the whole thing was a cow field. So we said, okay, well we can. I think Daisy, our cow, was put down at that point. She was really old. Yeah. So we built this enclosure for Amber and Rana to come and live out their days here. So they're hybrids, so they're not part of the international breeding programme, and as such they're neutered. Okay. So Rana's had a castration and Amber's had a hysterectomy because you don't want to carry on breeding hybrids because they're of no use to the conservation breeding programme. And then from my point of view, it's a family business, so it's me and Dad that run the place.
Oh, wow.
And I was asked to come back because I was off doing other things, and I was asked to come back the same year that the tigers came on board. Now I have very strict ethics and morals, and I said, well, I have a bit of an issue with just 2 cats in a cage serving no purpose if they're not on the breeding programmes, they're not any conservation value, etc. So I said we could do this if we start looking at bringing in conservation fundraising and look at doing in-situ projects in the wild. So from that point we started doing our tiger talks that we do every day, and we started asking people, just with a bucket, asking people for money if they wanted to donate money. So today we've now raised, it must be in a ballpark region, about £45,000, and all of that money has gone to a couple of projects, but the main one being an anti-poaching project in Sumatra. So the fact that they're not on the conservation breeding programme is irrelevant because they've raised that money because we couldn't have done it without these 2 guys being here. So they've directly helped save their wild cousins. That's kind of in a nutshell the reason for them being here. But of course the passion and enthusiasm from the keepers comes from actually what's going wrong in the wild. So I'm going to upset you I think with a few stories here, but it's back unfortunately. There were, over 100 years ago, there were over 100,000 tigers, they estimate. And there would have been 9 subspecies of tiger, so we have tigers found in 9 different parts of the world. Today, they think, if we're lucky, there's probably just over 3,000 left out of those 100,000. And the 9 subspecies, we're down to just 5 now. So our Javan and our Balinese Caspian, Javan and our Balinese tigers, which were island tigers, have gone. In fact, the tiger in there is modelled on the Javan tiger, and the Caspian tiger has gone Kazakhstan, kind of around that area. And it's just in the last few decades. Just a couple of years ago in South China, they said that they hadn't seen the South Chinese tiger any confirmed sightings since the 1960s, 1970s. So it was then reclassified as, or should be reclassified as extinct in the wild. Which brings me back to the point, I guess, of the good zoos. Why we need good zoos is because if the the Java and the Barneys and the Caspian tiger had been in good breeding programs, we'd still have them alive today. They'd just be extinct in the wild.
Yeah.
Because what's happening right now, and in fact I was only reading about it last night, is the South Chinese tiger. There were some in some zoos still in China, so they went to a breeding reserve in Africa, of all places.
Yeah.
I think it was a bit controversial at the time because they got out, etc.
Yeah, definitely.
Because they've gone to like a semi-natural environment. But the idea was to try and increase the population, because the population of captive South Chinese tigers was only 50 at the time, and they have doubled it. So that has worked. It has helped.
Yeah.
And now there is talk of bringing those some of those tigers back and trying to get them re-released now back out into South China to try and get that population back out in the wild. The Sumatran tiger, so it's one of our last island population now of tigers. They think there's probably only maybe 350 left on that island, which is horrendous. So, and then obviously your other populations are doing a bit better, perhaps your Indian, maybe 1700, 1800, because of course ecotourism, commercialisation is helping to keep that species alive. So it's actually not better the devil you know, isn't it? Because you could say, oh gosh, you go and see them in the wild and there's 101 trucks there all taking their photographs. But if it's keeping that population alive, then it's doing a job, isn't it?
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
but unfortunately in Sumatra, ecotourism isn't a big thing. And in fact, I did quite a few weeks out in the Princess Bat National Park, where the last stronghold is.
Yeah.
They think there's probably about 130 still left in that national park. 1.4 million hectares, it's massive. But of course, I was there for many weeks, never saw a living one. I saw a lot of dead things, but never saw a living one. And therefore, ecotourism isn't really big there, because if you're going out there to see one of the big kind of charismatic animals, not just the little primates and things, then that's what you want to see, and that's what you're paying to see, and you don't see it, and it's not really going to kick off. And the other thing is infrastructure is really bad there with flight paths, so you can't really get a flight in or anything like that. So we're not within an 8 or 9 hour trek getting there. So there's those populations. You obviously got our Malay, and the Amur is not very good. Maybe 300-400 of those left as well in Russia. So the populations are dwindling down. I mean, one of the shocking facts I can say is when we first started doing these talks, when these came just 10 years ago, we were saying 10,000 as a ballpark figure, and now we're saying 3, and that's just in the last decade. So in the next decade, what are we going to be saying? In the next decade after that, are we going to be saying that they're all extinct in the wild? So the poaching is the biggie. So you've got everything's taken. So for the medicinal trade, it's the whiskers, the eyeballs, the bones, the teeth, testicles, brain, you name it, it's been taken for that trade. And it's really hard-hitting fact is there are probably more tigers in Chinese tiger farms being farmed for that trade in little pens where they're just starved to death than there are actually in the wild. There's probably more in the States kept as private pets than there are in the wild, just in the state of Texas alone. So it's just, So that's one thing. The next thing, of course, is the habitat. So a big buzzword at the moment is palm oil. So in Sumatra particularly, but also in Borneo, but in Sumatra, the oil palm companies are going in and they're establishing these oil palm plantations. And of course, if you've seen an oil palm, if you Google them and have a look at them, you'll see that it's just a palm. And of course, that's not tiger habitat. It's not tiger habitat, it's not their prey habitat, and therefore they can't coexist, the prey can't coexist, and of course tigers can't coexist with that either. So these plantations are basically destroying where they can live, so they can't reconnect, populate, etc. So palm oil, which is what is produced from these oil palm plantations, is in a lot of the things that you and I buy. So what we have to do as good consumers, and what we do here at Shepreth is we do an audit every 3 years and we check everything we're buying, whether it's our animal feed or our public or whatever. And if it's got palm oil in it, and annoyingly it has about maybe 40 or 50 different names for the same substance, because it could be under vegetable oil, it could be under many things. Just Google the brand and just make sure they're signed up for sustainable palm oil. And then that's one thing we can do as a consumer straight away. And what's going to make life really easy is from December 13th, conservation labelling is coming in under the EU, so it should make products kind of very obvious if they're signed up to these schemes or not. So that's one thing we can do straight away. Obviously, what we say to children is they can start fundraising, things like that. And then the more random kind of thing that people don't think about is tigers in the Sundarbans, for example. At the moment in the Sundarbans, there's kind of this classic kind of tale of man-eaters. So there are recorded maybe 60, 70 deaths in the Sundarbans every year from tigers. That's recorded. Unrecorded, probably untold, because of course you'll have a lot of illegal loggers and illegal hunters going to the Sundarbans. That won't be recorded because they shouldn't have been there in the first place. So what happens is the tiger eats the person, the village is in uproar, and they go and find the tiger and they'll maybe beat it to death. Or if a tiger wanders into their village, they'll panic and they'll beat the tiger to death. So with the people in the villages there, they're also bringing their cats and their dogs, and their cats and their dogs are bringing diseases. So not only feline diseases can be transmitted to our tigers in the wild, but also canid diseases. So canine distemper, for example, can be transmitted to a tiger. And if a tiger gets distemper, it gets debilitated, it can't hunt its normal prey, so it's a vicious circle because then an easier prey, the easier prey would be a person or a sheep, or maybe their cat or their dog or whatever. And so of course then you get retaliation killings and that. So one of the projects we've been funding is a project where they've been vaccinating the cats and the dogs. And they've also been getting in tiger response teams. So the idea now is if a tiger wanders into the village, the village can ring up and say we've got a tiger in our village, the tiger response team can come out, they can anaesthetise that tiger if they're lucky, sedate it, move it out, and then that can be then translocated to another area. That is why we do a lot of this with the talks and stuff, because all the children, etc., it's their generation that will miss out on tigers in the future. And it will be just a crying shame. You know, we have to sit there in years to come telling our grandchildren, well, you know, there were tigers, but we let them all die off. So be killed, actually, not die off. So what we're doing today, some of the money that has been given for your, I don't know if this was a present,
birthday present,
goes to the project that we're supporting with Sumatra.
Tested. Right, there we go. Hello everyone, welcome to the tiger enclosure. My name's Dean, and in the tiger enclosure with me today we've got Bex, who's my colleague, and we've got a keeper for the day as well. And her name's Claire, and she's going to be helping us hide the food today. So can I have a big round of applause for Claire there, please? There we go, Claire. Well done. Excellent. And we're going to see how well she hides the food today. And there's a very good reason we're hiding the food. I'm sure if some of you children had all your food hidden around the house, you wouldn't be very happy about it. You'd have to go around and find your dinner in various places. The reason we hide the tiger's food is enrichment for the tiger. It's really important we keep the tiger's minds active as well as their bodies. And to do that, we hide their food as much as possible. So if you guys want to have a big look around the enclosure here and see if there's any good hiding places, not my pockets, that is suggested every week, but I won't be staying in here, unfortunately. So if you can see any good hiding places, put up your hands, and we might better hide some food there. I can see a hand up here. Yes, young lady? Just over there. And what's over there? What can you see? Under the log. Well done. So we've got some heavy logs at this end of the enclosure, and those logs, it takes a couple of us to move them, but for the tigers it's quite easy. So we can put some meat under the logs there. Yes, young man? In the cardboard box. So we've got some boxes in here today, and we can put some meat inside the boxes, and we can do various things with the boxes themselves. So that's like an extra layer that the tigers have to get through. Yes, young lady there? On the platform, well done. So we've got 2 platforms in the enclosure as well. Those platforms are quite high. Now it takes us quite a struggle to get up there. I know Bex and I, we have to climb up onto the platforms and it takes us a little while. But for the tigers it's quite easy, they jump up there quite quickly. If any of you got domestic cats at home, you know how well they can jump and how good their back legs are. So the tigers can jump up there and get their food. So what we normally do is tie some food up there. Have you got a suggestion up there? Well done. Now, that is a very good suggestion. Why have tigers got stripes on their bodies? Well, it's because they use them for camouflage in the bushes, the long grass and the trees. So that's a really good suggestion. When they're out hunting their prey like deer and pig, they need to use all that foliage to hide themselves so that their prey doesn't see them. And that's really important. So we can use the bushes, the long grass and the trees as well. I do get told off by our gardener sometimes because she comes in here and plants all these wonderful bushes in here, and then I hide some meat in there and the tigers come along and knock them down. So I do get told off quite a lot, but I think we can get away with that today. She's not in today, so we'll hide some meat in the bushes as well. So well done. Anywhere else anyone can see? Yes? In the big log pile, so we've got another log pile just at the back there, so we like to vary where we put the feed in the 2 log piles, so that's a very good idea. Have you got an idea?
In the tyre over
In the tyres, we've got some tyres at the far side as well, and you can see Bex and Claire over at the moment hiding some meat in there. Well done guys, there's some really good suggestions. Now what's down at the other end of the enclosure? If you've been down the other end, there's a big pond down there. Have you all seen that? Big pond? Well, there's a pond down at the other end, and we've got some water in there, and there's a log floating on the water, and we can sometimes put a bit of meat on the log. Now, tigers are one of the only big cats who enjoy going into water. They use it for recreation. They also use it as a toilet, so it gets quite smelly in there sometimes. You might see Amber and Rana perched at the side there sometimes, and they do their toilet in there. So every Thursday my colleagues have to go into the pond in their waders and scrub the pond out. I don't have to do that luckily, but my colleagues do. It's one of the smelliest jobs on the park. But they do enjoy the water and they play in there as well, so we try to encourage that as much as possible as well, so we can use that pond down. That's some really good suggestions. Well done guys. I hope Claire and Bex heard all those lovely suggestions, and if you watch them now they're going to be wandering around the enclosure and hiding all the meat in various places, and when we let the tigers out you can see how well they've hidden that and how good your suggestions were. So hopefully it will take the tigers quite a while to get round and find all their food. Now another form of enrichment, because that is what they're hiding their food is, another form is scent. So we all like to smell things, don't we? And it's important we use our sense of smell for certain things. So we like things like cooking. The smell of cooking is quite nice sometimes, and coffee and bread baking and chocolate, that sort of thing. But tigers like to smell things as well. And in the wild, scent is really important to a tiger. They use it for territory marking, to find a mate and to find food. Now the sort of scent we use for our tigers is wool or fur from other animals. So we've got some pony hair today. We also use manure from other animals as well. So we sometimes, if we clean out the donkey field, we can put the donkey poo in here, and the tigers really love the smell of the donkey poo. Also bedding from other animals. So when we clear out the rabbit enclosure, we can put their straw and hay in here, and the tigers really love to smell that as well. Now other things which don't sound quite tiger-like, things like Calvin Klein Obsession. Is anyone wearing Calvin Klein Obsession today? Probably not, but if you are, don't come too close to the tigers because they really enjoy it. Any strong smell like that, the tigers will go for. So in the wild they have things called camera traps. They don't trap the cat, they take a photo of the cat. It's important we have photos of the cats so we can identify them and tell how many we have left in the wild, which is really important. To entice them to the camera traps, they do use Calvin Klein Obsession. So it's used in the wild in an important role to attract the cats to the camera traps. We do spray it around here. We've had students here before doing studies on Calvin Klein Obsession and how Rana and Amber enjoy that. We got some really good results on that. We've also used Lynx body spray on our lynx as well, and we got some good results on that. So we can also use herbs. We've got some catnip today, I believe. But we use things like lavender as well, mint, that sort of thing, and the tigers really enjoy that as well. So that's enrichment as well. Now unfortunately, there's fewer tigers left than there used to be. About 100 years ago, there were probably about 100,000 tigers in the wild. Nowadays, there's only about 3,000 to 4,000 left. That's a drop of 96, probably 1,500 tigers from the wild. Now where have they gone? Well, they are the biggest animal in their habitat. There's no one bigger and tougher enough than a tiger, except one animal, and there's lots of them on the park today. Who can tell me who unfortunately has caused the demise of a tiger in the wild? Any suggestions? Yes, young man? People, well done. So human beings have. And human beings have unfortunately knocked down the tiger's habitat and planted different things in their place. And the prey of the tiger and the tiger itself can't live in that habitat anymore, unfortunately. They have also taken the tiger for those lovely fur coats. You remember me telling you that their stripes are there for a very important reason, to camouflage them. We've seen them as a decoration, unfortunately, and have used them as such in the past. Also, the tiger suffers from something called the medicine trade. It's not scientifically proven, but it still goes on, and parts of a tiger are taken as medicine. If we feel poorly, we go to a doctor's, or we go to a dentist and sort ourselves out. But some people believe that parts of the animal will help them get better. It's It's not scientifically proven. But there are things we can do. We support charities like 21st Century Tiger and Vets International. They do an amazing job in the wild. They help support the tiger, make sure it comes to no harm. They'll supply wardens in the wild as well, which is really important. If you have any spare pennies at all, any spare change at all, if you see one of our volunteers is over by the otters at the moment, if you give us a wave, he's got a collection bucket there, and all that money will go to the tiger charities and help support the tiger in the wild. They do say that just in 20 years' time, there'll be so few tigers left, the population won't be able to sustain itself, and it will eventually become extinct, which is not what we want. We want future generations to see the tiger in the wild, not just in zoos and wildlife parks. Okay, so that's a really important message to take home. If you can think of any good ways of fundraising for the tigers, do let us know. We're always happy to help and support you do that. I'm going to see how the guys are getting on in a moment. What I want from you guys though is a big tiger roar, if that's okay, especially you children. After a count of 3, see how well your lungs are working. A big tiger roar. 1, 2, 3. No, that was pathetic. You can do better than that. Come on now. 1, 2, 3. That's better. Well done. Excellent. I'll let you get away with that one. Yeah, if you stick about, and we'll be letting the tigers out in just a little while. We're going to finish hiding the food now. When they come out, if you watch them and see where they go, see how well we've hidden the food today. If you have any questions, do come up and ask. We don't bite like the tigers do. And don't miss the other talks today. We've got the otter feeding later on and the meerkat talk as well. They're always popular. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of your day at Shepreth, and thank you very much for coming to the talk. Thank you.
What? No. You're going to wait for the tigers to come out.
Don't hide it in the place they wanted.
I think so.
I think it's work for it, isn't it?
They're hidden in the place the children want, isn't it? Yeah. It's always good.
Right, okay, can you double check that rock? And then I'm afraid you can only open one door because we have to open up at the same time. So would you like to do Amber with Dean or Rana with me?
I don't mind either.
Which side do you prefer? Which what you saying?
I prefer that lot. But I'll go and do that one. I'll go and do that one first. I think No, I think...
You might get a better view, Emma, to be honest, down that side.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, sure.
Are we all happy, yeah?
Yeah, I'm happy.
These years and it's just instilled in our brains.
So what I'll do this, I've got to go off to the Luma talk after, but I'll catch up with you after that.
Okay, cool.
Oh, you've trashed your bedroom. I've only just cleaned it. Well, he's ahead of us now. Right, so... Yeah, why is it that way?
That way.
Yeah. Sorry, Dean, can you just give us a minute? Yes, anti-clockwise, yeah.
Yeah, no problem.
Can you keep going now? Don't let go when you get to the stop. I'm going to take it off you.
Okay.
So impatient.
If we're just bringing it up, it's like, I'm going to get it out.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all got now.
Okay.
We're going to go out this door here. There we go. After you. Okay, we just have to watch this one in because we haven't got a date. What you have to do now is you just have to visually look at the centre of the enclosure because Dean's checking the other one and you're checking if you left anything in there, anyone in there, any buckets, anything like that, with the scissors that are ticking, that kind of thing. So you're happy with looking at it? You just have to confirm that now to Dean. Okay. Yeah, Dean, we're ready to go and we're all happy that it's clear this side.
Yeah, I'm happy. I'm going to lift the gate now.
They're coming out now. What you want to do is cover your ears.
Yeah, I love it.
Cover your ears, Greg. It's quite loud. You might want to cover your ears.
He's over the box. You can smell it, you can smell it, you can smell it. Oh, whoa! Looks like the box, where's the box? Looks over again. You like
That's right. Use a pair of scissors.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
that was
what,
it.
that's what he does.
Mum. It's biting! That looks hilarious.
Right, you're in the box, but you're going to take it the hard way.
He likes the box. Why is it
Oh, heady. Extra dietary fibre.
funny?
Yeah.
So what you might want to do there is we'll head round that way because you get on the entire enclosure then.
Yeah.
I know. Oh, wait, I bet she's going to find me up. Right, she looks like she's going to be able to
Follow me.
How did they come?
What have you got with this red dog? What's in the paper?
Sorry.
No.